I committed a horrible act, and I'll never forgive myself. When I was 23 years old, I did something that I still haven't told anyone to this day. I am to the point of guilt that I almost can't live with myself had I not gotten this off my chest. Part 2. I'm 45, and until now, nobody has ever heard of this incident. At the time of the attack, I was attending Georgia State University, majoring in journalism. I had been studying profusely, and I was completely dedicated to getting a good job for my future children. I hadn't been blessed with a daughter like I had always imagined yet. But when I was, I needed to make sure I could support my family in every way possible. After a grueling week of testing and putting everything I had into preparing, I decided it was time for me to reward myself. Me and my brother, along with our two friends who I'll name Paul and Randall, went out to a popular bar at the time. We had an amazing time initially, getting drunk out of our minds and talking it up with anything who moved. It seemed like a normal night with the boys. However, I could have never expected what was to come out the next morning. The last I remember before the situation was getting into a car with my brother, Paul, and Randall. My brother, who was the least hammered out of all four of us, was in the driver's seat. It's important that I mention that while I was considered smart in school, I wasn't very familiar with the streets. Being the dumb college student I was, I thought a couple drinks couldn't affect your skill on the road. We were driving through less populated areas for a reason that I still can't remember now. This is where the story begins to take a darker turn. Much of the car ride I've only heard through others' reports on the incident, and have no choice but to believe them. The next thing I can remember was me walking through the dark campus hours later, paranoid of what could be lurking around. I blamed most of this paranoid feeling on being drunk, although I was sobering up. One noise had startled me, so I began jogging away. To no surprise, I fell and injured my ankle within 30 seconds of running. I fell to my knees, and what, or who, I saw standing in front of me was something from my nightmares. Or so it seemed. I began screaming, convinced that I was going to die that night. As this figure approached me, I started thinking of ways I could get out of this situation. I started running again, but I only fell back to the ground within seconds. Hyperventilating, I tried to call my brother and my friends. The only ones I had known were near me for sure, but my phone was completely dead. I had gained a little distance from this attacker, but I knew I couldn't get much further. I hid behind an electrical box and tried to find anything I could defend myself with. My hands stumbled over the ground in the dark, my mind racing. I grabbed a somewhat large rock and waited for this person to grow closer. I don't know how I executed this. It's almost like something washed over me. When this person had gotten close enough to where I could jump out, I tightened my grip on the rock and began bashing into whatever part of this figure I could reach. Once they were on the ground, I was sitting over the body, pinning down their elbows with my knees and repeatedly throwing the object on their face, which I could barely make out in the dark. I couldn't pull myself off. When it was clear that they were unconscious, I still couldn't stop. Everything in me was attacking this person, releasing every single bit of energy I could. I was sobbing, weeping so loudly with nobody around to hear me. It seemed like something straight out of the worst horror movies I'd ever seen. I was trembling harder than I ever had, and adrenaline was pumping through my veins. Once I managed to roll myself off of the body, I stumbled back and realized what I had done. As my eyes began adjusting to the dark around me, I fell to the ground, horrified as I found out who this person I had so brutally attacked and knocked out was. It was my brother. He had come back to check on me and began following me after he noticed I was in distress. I kneeled over his body, trying to keep every last bit of his soul inside of him. It was too late. My face went numb and my body felt limp. I couldn't believe it, as tears and sweat of panic ran down my face, blurring my vision. I couldn't have even begun to process his last moments were caused by me. His death, such a tragic loss to me and everyone around us, was my fault entirely. I couldn't be seen with the body. Nobody could ever know I did this. I stayed there with his body for hours as I watched him fade in and out of consciousness. If I had called an ambulance, they would have caught me, and the police would never have believed me if I claimed that it was an accident. I had a bad track record, and they were already on to me. I had nothing to do, nowhere to go, nobody to reach out to. I couldn't have gone to Paul or Randall's houses. They were miles away, and I was already badly injured from running. Nobody was around to witness this, because nobody went on this side of the campus at night. This confession is absolutely not real, and this is a huge joke. I don't think I can live with myself much longer.